रामचंद्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम् अञ्जनानन्दनं वीरं जानकी शोकनाशनं कपीशमक्षहन्तारं वन्दे लङ्काभयङ्करम्। ॐ अविद्यारण्यकान्तारे भ्रमतां प्राणिनां सदा विद्यामार्गोपदेष्टारं विद्यारण्यगुरुं श्रये। व्यासो नैगमचर्चया मृदुगिरा वल्मीकजन्मा मुनिः वैराग्ये शुक एव भक्तिविषये प्रह्लाद एव स्वयं ब्रह्मा नारद एव चाप्रतिमयो सङ्गीतसाहित्ययोः यो रामामृतपाननिर्जितशिवस्तं त्यागराजं भजे। ॐ नमः परमहंसास्वादित चरणकमलचिन्मकरन्दाय भक्तजनमानसनिवासाय श्रीरामचन्द्राय ओं नमोस्तु रामाय सलक्ष्मणाय देव्यै च तस्यै जनकात्मजायै नमोस्तु रुद्रेन्द्र यमालेभ्यो नमोस्तु चन्द्रार्कमरुद्गणेभ्यः। ओम we will start our session. Today is another auspicious day. It is the Janma Tithi of Vidyaranya Muni. It is, I mean, his fame is well known, as of course his contributions to Vedanta is anyway well known, but also in terms of establishing the Vijayanagara kingdom and such things are well known. And also incidentally, today is Tyagaraja's Jayanti. So Vaishakha Shukla Panchami was Shankara Jayanti, Saptami is Tyagaraja Jayanti. Only today I came to know that Vidyaranya's Jayanti is also today. And this entire Paksha is a nice Paksha with all great Mahatmas having their birth, with Vaishakha Purnima being Buddha Jayanti. So Vaishakha Purnima is also going to come. So today is 30th, which is Saptami. So in another 7-8 days, I suppose, Vaishakha Purnima will also come. Hopefully that will be a day for our class. Let's see how it turns out to be. Just a few words about Tyagaraja because it's his birthday today, and he's also a great Rama Bhakta, all of us know. He's one person who in his life, no matter what comes, in his happiness, in his sorrow, in his celebration, in his in his poverty, in everything, he only went back to Rama. In his kritis you can see that his happiness also he's expressing to Rama, his sorrow also he's expressing to Rama, his poverty also is expressing to Rama. And then his kritis are filled with so much of bhakti, jnana and vairagya, all that is there. And he's well known for not accepting state patronage, from the king. So he didn't accept patronage, but all his kritis he only dedicated to Rama and things like that. Incidentally, there is one lesson for us to learn from Tyagaraja, which is that if you hold on to Rama, not only when you are alive, but even after you are gone, your fame will be spread by Rama itself. So when Tyagaraja was alive itself, it seems one great scholar came from Kashi to Tiruvayar, to his place in Tamil Nadu. So saying that I'm a great Rama Bhakta. I mean, the Pandita was telling, so I'm a Rama Bhakta, and Rama told me in my dream that there is, because that person came for South India Yatra, so he came and told me in my dream that there is this great Bhakta of mine called Tyagaraja, and he sings very nicely. Why don't you go and listen to him sing one song? So when that Bhakta comes to to Tyagaraja, and Tyagaraja is amazed that, I didn't look for fame, I only sang for you, but you gave me such fame. So he writes a very nice song called Dasharathe Ni Runamu Dirpa Na Tarama. Is it possible for me to repay your debt? Because Ashatira Dura Deshamula Prakashinpajesina Rasika Shiromani. He says so. He calls Rama as Rasika Shiromani. Rasikas today, if they like the singer, they give him some money. But this Rama is like, so he fulfilled Tyagaraja's, I mean, he spread Tyagaraja's fame to such far off place. Imagine a scholar from Kashi knowing about a scholar or a singer in Tamil Nadu at a time when communication means were not so as good as it is today. And I had some first-hand experience with how Rama is protecting Tyagaraja's fame, perhaps even today. You may remember, people who are in Hyderabad, that when Telangana agitations were happening, so we have this Tangband Road where in the entire road statues are kept. There are so many statues of great people who have contributed to Telugu history. So through literature or through politics or through various fields, people who have contributed to Telugu history, their statues are there. And incidentally, Tyagaraja's statue is also there. Tyagaraja is supposed to be a person from Telugu land, around Nellore or somewhere. but then his ancestors migrated to Tamil Nadu. So behind Tyagaraja's statue, so don't mind, I'm telling some story today. Of course, Ramayana we will get into. So behind that statue of Tyagaraja in Tank Bund, you will see Rama, Sita, and Lakshmana statues. So that's the only statue in Tank Bund where there is a Bhagwan behind the statue of the person intended. So there even Rama is intended because the pose of Rama behind the statue is of Rama of Bhadrachalam, and then Tyagaraja is anyway there. So during these Telangana agitations, they gave a call for destroying all non-Telangana statues on Tank Bund. So if the statue belongs to a person who's not from Telangana, then his statues are destroyed. So there are other poet kavis also on other kavis, other bhaktas. Their statues are also there. Their statues were destroyed. Ramadasa's statue was not destroyed because apparently he's from Telangana. Tyagaraja's statue was also not destroyed, though he's from Andhra. You know why? So I saw that firsthand. So it struck me as firsthand, as in when I was passing by, I saw, not that I participated in those riots. But then when I saw that statue, I realized, why didn't I destroy that? Because Rama is behind, you know. So if they destroy that statue, perhaps they thought, so why to take? Why to get ourselves involved with Rama? He's also there behind. So let us not touch the statue. So otherwise, the statue, going by other statues. What should I say? What should I say? The condition of other statues, even that statue would have been destroyed. Anyway, maybe this is a digression, I don't know, but I felt that way, that Rama is protecting Tyagaraja's fame even today, you know, and of course his kritis are popular like perhaps no other composer's songs are. So that Tyagaraja's birthday today, Jayanti today, so it's good that we remembered him, and it's also wonderful that on his Jayanti we are also getting an opportunity to study some Ramayana. How does one get such faith? It's difficult to say. I think about this question: how does faith come? Because some people ask me also how to cultivate faith. The kind of faith that Tyagaraja had in Rama is perhaps a faith that is inculcated to an extent, and also something that is consciously developed also. See, so that conscious development building up upon what is, you can only build upon what is constantly given to you. So for some great Mahatmas, a little seed is enough, and that seed somewhere is there in their heart, and they build up upon it. Faith is something, I think, immediately when you ask this question, this answer comes to me, is that something that is consciously cultivated towards an Ishvara. So I don't know. To some people, I have seen people for whom, there's no reason. Suddenly, there are some turn of events in life, let's say, and then their faith becomes so strong. For some people, it happens the opposite. They have apparently great faith, but turn of events make them faithless. I don't have a particular answer. Maybe it's something that has to be cultivated, and then by God's own grace, you will get it. Of course, if I have to give you a technical bhaktas kind of answer, even that faith, Bhagwan himself has to give you, or something like that. In Kathopanishad, there is a mantra, Yamaivesha vrinute tena labhyaha. So, Nayam atma pravachenena labhyaha. Like that, there is a mantra. So, that Yamaivesha vrinute tena labhyaha. So, him whom he chooses, he will obtain him. So, the understanding is who will get Brahmajnana, let's say, or who will attain Atma. So, him whom he chooses, he will get, or he will obtain Atma. So, who is this he? Who is that him whom he chooses? So who is that he? So of course Shankaracharya says he here is sadhaka. The Jignasu himself has to consciously make an effort to say that, okay, I'm studying all these shastras, everything is all right, but I should also want to seek the Atma. He makes a distinction there between studying the shastra and being a Jignasu. You can study the shastra without being a Jignasu. It gives you nice scholarship and things like that. Of course, today there is no patronage for such kind of scholarship of some mathas. All the traditional mathas give patronage, but not like earlier times where if you're a scholar in shastras you get paid a lot. Today that kind of patronage is not there, but still you can make that distinction between studying a shastra and studying for jignasa's sake, for moksha's sake studying. This is how Shankaracharya explains it. That's how we take it also. So Eshaha, he there means sadhaka himself. He has to choose that I want the Atma. I don't want mere scholarship, but I want the Atma. But the Vaishnavas have a very beautiful way of putting that Eshaha. They say Eshaha there is Bhagwan. Bhagwan has to choose that I will now turn this person towards me. So in bhakti level, that is okay. I mean, we can take that, but of course, from Vedanta's perspective, I gave you Shankaracharya's answer. So maybe my answer is you have to cultivate it consciously in life, and also you have to only pray that Bhagwan makes your faith so strong. So I don't know if I could answer your question convincingly, but some thoughts that came to my mind. So where are we? We are in the second sarga. So second sarga is where Valmiki's Vaktri Vailakshanyam is presented, like I told. So the uniqueness of the speaker. What is the uniqueness of the speaker? The uniqueness of the speaker is he's a person who's very sensitive at heart. He's a rishi and very sensitive at heart. Therefore, he's eligible to speak on a story like Rama's story. And then because he's a rishi, he's also having your best interest in mind. So Kavya itself, they say, so Kavyam Yashase Artha Krite, like that, there is a shloka in Prataparudriyam itself. So Kavya itself is not for the poet's own sake. The Kavya is written for other people's sake, for their whatever appreciation or enjoyment and things like that. And then when it is a Muni, a great Rishi is writing it, of course he has even better interests, your own welfare in mind, and he's writing it. So that kind of thing is being highlighted in the Sarga, the uniqueness of Valmiki as being a person who is interested in your welfare because he's a rishi, and also because he is a sensitive person, a karunardra hridaya person who is eligible to write on Ramayana, where karuna itself is the primary rasa. So we are in this verse 23. Last session we saw this in some detail. We saw this explanation for Manishada Pratishtham Tomagama Shashwati Samaha Yat Krauncha Mithunadekam Avadhi Kamamohitam. Like I said, this is the first ever humanly uttered verse or lines which is in metric form. That is how we take it in the tradition. And then I gave you that, I told you that other Vyakyakaras, that is Shiromani Kara and Govindaraja, give different meanings of how that verse itself can mean Ramayana's Katha. So Shiromani Kara says it's twofold. So the verse gives twofold meaning. One is that it is a curse, obviously, and then also Rama's Katha is there. And Govindaraja also tells this is Rama's Katha. And Tilakakara gives two views. It is a curse on Ravana, or it is a blessing, or rather a statement of Rama's life. And then he refutes those views and says, like I said, he takes a convex combination and says this is a curse on Rama itself. He gives his own ideas for that, why it cannot be any other case. It cannot be Rama's story, because as of then the Kavi didn't decide yet that he's going to write Rama's story. In this Sarga's end, we will see that Valmiki will now later decide that he's going to write Rama's story, and it cannot be a curse on Ravana, because Ravana is already dead. So you can't curse a person who's already dead. So that is the line he takes, and then he says this is a curse on Rama itself. And then we saw, I said that my personal preference is perhaps to say that he just uttered a simple statement of shock at the barbarous act of the hunter. The question was raised, Prasadji asked, is it can perhaps mean something more than just that. That's why the Vyakyakaras are going at such length to explain. Yeah, that could be possible. Though there is Duranvaya, so of course, so like I said in the beginning, Valmiki is somebody who indirectly hints. So perhaps that is there, but here you should only keep in mind that this was not a conscious utterance. It just happened like that. In fact, Tilakakara also says it was a curse, and then Rama took it upon himself because this is a rishi, and rishi's word should not go in vain and things like that. But it seems to be a kind of mild curse in that sense. So maybe Vyakyakaras are giving such detailed explanations to say that, the first ever metrically uttered lines of a human being it's not nice to say that, the first ever poem that a person uttered was a curse. So maybe with that sentiment they are explaining it. I don't know, but it's also good to see all these Vyakyas which we have seen. To me, it appears like too much meaning is squeezed here. In some cases where single verses are given a lot of meanings, there you can appreciate, yeah, maybe it means like that. Here, I don't know. Whatever suits your taste, you can pick up. Puja Swamiji used to give a nice example of how in a small place people fit too much. So he used to give, there is a famous ashram in Rishikesh, internationally well known, not Kailash ashram, but another ashram. They have a Prarthana Geetam. So the Prarthana Geetam goes as Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Pahimam, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha, Shri Ganesha Rakshamam. It starts like that and it goes on. So 20-30 minutes song, maybe 15-20 minutes. There somewhere, this Jai Ganesha is okay, it fits in the tune, but slowly bigger names keep coming. So Raja Rajeshwari, Raja Rajeshwari, Raja Rajeshwari Pahi Mam, you're saying that Raja Rajeshwari, or I mean somehow by force you are fitting in that tune, that length of the tune, Raja Rajeshwari doesn't fit in, you know. And then their Hyderabad branch also has the local Swami's names. So suppose I don't want to take that Swami's name, so I'm saying Tattvavidanandaji's name. Suppose in that tune now I have to put Tattvavidananda, Tattvavidananda, Tattvavidananda Pahimam, suppose I say. So in the tune, so much meaning doesn't fit in. So something like that is what I felt, but it's okay. Whatever suits your taste, we can take. I mean, we can take perhaps to say that it is Rama's Katha, a curse on Rama and things like that. I don't know. Whatever suits your taste, you can take. But let's proceed. We just ended with verse 23 where Chaturmukha Brahma came, and I said Ramayana belongs to a time where Devatas and humans had direct interaction. You can see that Devatas keep coming and going in the story. So 23rd verse, Ajagama tato Brahma Lokakarta Swayam Prabhu Chaturmukho Mahateja Drashtum Tam Munipungavam. So to see that Tam Munipungavam, to see that great Muni, Brahma himself came, Chaturmukha Brahma. So why did he come? So remember, Valmiki went back to Brahmaloka. So Valmiki went to Brahmaloka and told Brahmaji that this now Valmiki is ready. I mean, his mind is now prepared for writing Ramakatha. If you go and bless him, he will write it. So that's not there in the story. Some Vyakhyakas are pointing out. So maybe Brahma came to see who this Valmiki is, what is his state of mind, and then he will say a blessing and go. So Valmiki rathatam drishtva sahasotthaya vagyataha pranjalih prayato bhutva tasthau paramavismitah पूजयामास तं देवं पादार्घ्यासनवन्दनैः प्रणम्य विधिवच्चैनं पृष्ट्वा चैव निरामयम्. So this 24th verse, first half of 25th verse and first half of the second line of 25th verse are one sent. I mean in one context, they form one context. So Valmiki atha Valmiki, when that Brahma came, Valmiki tam drishtva, having seen that Brahma, sahasotthaya, immediately he got up, and Vagyataha, suddenly he stunned. Vagyataha is all his words go back. I mean, he becomes stunned at seeing Brahma. Pranjali prayato bhutva. So Pranjali bhutva prayato bhutva. Pranjali he is doing pranam like this. So that is what Pranjali means. Pranjali bhutva, and prayato bhutva is out of, he became very humble. So Pranjali prayato bhutva. Tasthau means he stood like that, amazed, stunned. He's just standing looking at Brahma. Paramavismitaha. Paramavismita is he's stunned. I mean, he's so amazed that suddenly from where did Brahmaji come suddenly. So Pujayamasa tam devam padarghasana vandanaihi pranamya vidhivachenam. So Pujayamasa, so he worshipped Valmiki worshipped that Brahma. How did he worship? Padarghasana vandanaihi vidhivatcha pranamya. So vidhivat pranamya is according to whatever is the vidhi for devatarchana, he does that. He bows down to Brahma according to the vidhi, and he gives padya arghya. Padya arghya is, I mean, water to, he washes his feet and then offers water to drink and things like that. And he shows him an asana, please sit and things like that. An uchitasana he gives, an appropriate asana for Brahma, and vandanaihi. So pranamya is also there, vandana is also there. Both mean actually the same thing. So Tikakara is telling by vandana you can say he made a stuti. I mean, so when you are doing pranam, they say, so Sashtanga pranama, there is a shloka for that. So I don't not able to recollect. So that shloka says while you are doing pranam, you should also say something like Ramaya Namaha. You do, I mean, you say and do pranam, or utter a shloka and do pranam. So like that he is doing, he's making a stuti and doing pranam to Brahma. So Valmiki is worshipping that Brahma who has suddenly come, and Prishtva Chaiva Niramayam. Now what happens? Brahma is also responding back. Brahma now asks him, Niramayam means Amaya is, I told you before also. So illnesses, so mental and physical illness, both you can take. So he's asking, are you fine? So how is your health and things like that. Brahma is asking. Prishtva, then having asked such a thing, what does Brahmaji do? Athopavishya Bhagavan asane paramarchite. Athopavishya Bhagavan asane paramarchite. Valmikiye charishaye sandideshasanam tataha. So having asked, he is sitting down in an asana, which is a highly exalted asana. Paramarchite is a great asana, which is fit for a person like Brahmaji to sit. So in such an asana, he goes and sit. That asana was shown by Valmiki. So here, one thing we should learn perhaps is that, so he's first inquiring about his health and then going and sitting down. That means, so when you meet somebody, it's important to first ask them their welfare. And then even if you go to somebody's house, you ask their welfare and then sit down. I mean, something that we can perhaps learn. So athopavishya Bhagavan here is Chaturmukha Brahma, asane upavishya, paramarchite asane upavishya, Valmiki cha rishaye, sandhideshasanam tataha. So for that Valmiki also, he shows, please sit down. He says things like that. And then he, having sit down, he points out to Valmiki, please take your seat, things like that he says. So Valmiki also sits down. So Valmiki sits down in the next verse. Brahmana samanujñataha sopyupavishyadasane upavishte tada tasmin sakshaloka pitamahe. So Sakshal Lokapitamahe Upavishte, when Brahma himself sits on an asana, and then Brahmana Samanujñataha, when Brahma also orders Valmiki and others around to sit down, so Valmiki also sits in an asana. So Sopi Upavishad asane, that Valmiki also sits in an asana, having been Anujñataha, Brahmana Anujñataha, having been what should I say, ordered or allowed or permitted by Brahmaji to sit, he also sits in an asana. And then Upavishte tada tasmin loke tada tasmin sakshad loka, when that sakshad lokapitamaha himself having sat down, Valmiki also sits down. So Brahmaji perhaps is saying, as even he is sitting down, or maybe he is standing, he is telling him, please take your seat. Then Valmiki waits till Brahmaji sits, and then he himself sits. तद्गतेनैव मनसा वाल्मीकिर्ध्यानमास्थितः पापात्मना कृतं कष्टं वैरग्रहणबुद्धिना यत्तादृशं चारुरवं क्रौञ्चं हन्यादकारणात् शोचन्नेव पुनः क्रौञ्चीम् उपश्लोकमिमं जगौ. So tadgatenaiva manasa. So tadgatenaiva is, that here means all those past events. He's still thinking about that. Brahmaji himself has come. He's stunned. But then his mind is going back to that events. I mean, I'm a Muni. How did I utter a curse? I shouldn't be saying this. So I gave you this example. So a person of great Satvika Buddhi, for him even a small taint appears as a very big thing. So because his buddhi is so satvika, he cannot bear with that. Whereas we say all kind of things, we do all kind of things, and we get away with it because our mind is not sensitive to that level. So Tattvavedanta ji also says that guilt is a professional, what should I say, hazard for sadhakas. You know, the more whatever matured you become due to your sadhana or jnana or vedanta, whatever you are learning, the more matured you become, the more perhaps the more guilt keeps coming in your mind, and you should guard against it. It's not a good thing, obviously. You should guard against that guilt that keeps developing, because the more matured you become, you think of past events and perhaps feel bad that perhaps I should not have done like that. Maybe I caused them harm. I shouldn't have acted that way. Things like that. You should guard yourself against it by thinking perhaps that, that at that time that's the best I could do. I mean, in that state of mind, I did what I could not have done better, something like that. Anyway, so Valmiki is also thinking of those past events. It's still occupying his mind. So what are those things? Papatmana kritam kashtam vairagrahana buddhina yat tadrisham charuravam krauncham hanyad akaranat. So that papatmana vairagrahana buddhina, papatmana is he who's an embodiment of papa. So such Nishada, that hunter, vairagrahana buddhina. So he who is, so you can explain it two ways. He whose mind is always filled with picking up enmity with other beings, or you can say that he's a person who's picking up or yeah, maybe that's the only meaning. Vairagrahana buddhina yat tadrisham charuravam. So vairagrahana buddhina papatmana kritam kashtam. So he did a great what should I say, kashtam is a task which is difficult to digest. So something like that he did. What did he do? Yat tadrisham charuravam krauncham hanyad akaranat, without any reason. So he killed that one of those krauncha birds, and those krauncha birds were singing so beautifully, they were living so happily. It was mating time for them. At that time, for no reason, this Nishada, this hunter, went and killed one of those birds, and of course, because of that, I uttered this out of insensitivity, but I should not have uttered. Such things are going on in his mind. Then Shocanneva Punaha is, so he is still thinking all those things in mind. Punaha Kraunchim Shocanneva. So he thinks about that bird again and again. He's thinking in his mind. So Upashlokam Imam Jagau. So Imam Shlokam Upajagau. That's how you should take. So this shloka, what is that shloka? Manishada Pratishtham Tvam Agama Shashwati Samahi Yat Krauncha Mithunadekam Avadhi Kamamohitam. That shloka he just mutters. So when Brahma, he's sitting beside Brahma, but his thoughts are still in that, and then he mutters slowly that shloka. I mean, involuntarily he happens to mutter. Charu Ravam, yeah, that's how it is. Charu Ravam. Charu is sweet, I mean beautiful. Ravam is sound. So Charuramam. So that which has a beautiful sound to hear. So beautiful cuckooing and things like that. So having said that shloka, beside, I mean, he involuntarily mutters that shloka when Brahma is around, Brahmaji is around, and then punarantargatamana bhutva shoka parayanaha tamuvacha tato brahma prahasan munipungavam. So having uttered that verse, he is still absent-minded, as in he's thinking about it. So punarantargatamana. So again, his mind goes back to those thoughts. He's reflecting on that. Shoka parayanaha. So he is also filled with shoka, both for that event also. That, I mean, he's so sensitive that event disturbed him so much. Actually, if you see, it's a common sight for a hunter to hunt an animal. You know, I mean, he's not doing it out of some kind of sadistic pleasure. He's doing it because it's his duty. He gets his food that way. And there is a shloka. I mean, the dharma is, so this is not something that you're doing. You're doing it for your food, and that is your livelihood. So you don't attain. What should I say, Papa, in that sense. So there is a verse that Rama himself says in Kishkindha Kanda. This has been quoted earlier. I didn't say it because it was in some other Vyakya, in Govindaraja's Vyakya. So pramattan apramattan va nara mamsarthino bhrisham vadhyanti vimukhanschapi nacha doshotra vidyate. So the Rama himself, so when Vali asks Rama, why did you kill me? So in that context, Rama gives him some reply. In that, this is one of the replies that he gives. So mamsarthinaha, one who, so that person, those people who want the meat of some other animal, those people kill the animal at any time. At any time means whether the animal is alert or not alert, at any time that person will kill the animal, because it is his livelihood to eat the flesh of that animal, is his livelihood. So in such cases there is no papa. So that's what Rama himself says in Kishkindha Kanda. But anyway, I mean, this is not something that is fault of the hunter itself, but Valmiki is very disturbed by that incident. And then somewhere some Tikakara says that yes, this is true, that though the Nishada doesn't have any papa in that context, but Valmiki felt like, okay, you could have killed some other bird, not these birds which were getting intimate, you know, at that time you killed. So that is disturbing Valmiki a lot. Anyway, so punarantargatamana bhutva shoka parayanaha. Shoka parayana is he's overcome by grief. To such a Valmiki, tamuvacha tato brahma prahasan munipungavam. So tamuvacha, to that Valmiki, Brahma tells. So what does he tell? To whom? To that Munipungavam. Munipungavam is that great Muni. Brahma is telling Prahasan. So like I told you, so even Narada also Prahasan, we saw here also Prahasan. And then Gita, Krishna also starts Prahasan Niva Bharata. So there also we see that Krishna gives a small smile before speaking. Even Narada gave a small smile before he started speaking. So this is something that we see. I told it there also, that all our Devatas, Mahatmas, when they start speaking with a small smile, because in their vision there is no problem that we are seeing, you know. So here in this case, Valmiki is seeing a problem, but that problem, Brahma is in Brahmaji's view, it's not a problem at all. So why that he will tell later, why he should not feel bad. Brahma will tell that later. But all these problems come from our own. I don't want to get into some philosophy here, but very in brief, I want to tell that. So we have some calculations in mind. With our mind, we perceive things, and of course, with that limited mind, we can only perceive limited cause and effect. We can't see a grander scale or a grander scheme of things. So therefore, for us, these things don't make much sense. I mean, why did it happen like that? Why did I do like that? Why did he do like that? Such things are such limited causality is all that we can grasp with our limited mind. Therefore, it's very disturbing to us. Whereas for Sakshal Lokapitamaha, who's the Jagat Karta, for such a Brahma, he can see the macro picture. He can see causality, if there is anything called causality in that sense. I mean, ultimately in Vedanta, we don't accept causality. So we say Vishwam Pashyati Karya Karanataya. That is mithya, we say. Out of Ajnana, you see Karya Karana Bhava. But anyway, in Vyavahara, there is Karya Karana Bhava. Such macro Karya Karana Bhava, causality, Brahma is able to see from his position. So for him, there is no problem. All this makes sense for him. But for us, it doesn't make sense. So when we go and approach Ishvara with such an attitude, that Ishvara is smiling, because in his view, the problem that we see in our life is not there. So that's what I try to tell. So Prahasan Munipunga, Prahasan here, Brahma is smiling, because in his view, in his macro view of causality, all this is not a problem. So that's the meaning of this Prahasan. So what did Brahmaji say then? Shloka evastvayam baddho natra karya vicharana machanda devate brahman pravritteyam saraswati. So So shloka evastvayam. So this is what I wanted to say in the last session. I said that in 31st verse we will see. So here there we saw, what was the verse we saw there? किमिदं व्याहृतं मया श्लोको भवतु नान्यथा शोकार्थस्य प्रवृत्तो में श्लोको भवतु नान्यथा. There I said that perhaps keeping the later story in mind, there shloka yasho rupa is what seems to be an appropriate meaning, because to say me shloko bhavatu, so shokartasya pravritto me, so this which has been uttered by me, who was overpowered by grief, may it be a shloka. So that cannot be appropriate, because I mean you already know it's a shloka, so how can you say may it be a shloka? And something which is not a shloka, you cannot make a shloka. You can't write a gadya and say this is shloka. So shloko bhavatu nanyatha there means yasho rupo bhavatu. So may it be for my fame, may it not attract ill fame for me, because as a muni I should not have said something like that. So that is strengthened by this, because here Brahma also says shloka evastu, may this be shloka only. So may this be shloka only means may this be verse only. Even he can't say. If something was not a verse, even Brahmaji cannot say may this be a verse, So shloka evastvayam baddhaha. So this which has been constructed by you or uttered by you, may it be shloka only. May it be shloka only means may it be for your own fame only. May it not attract ill fame for you. Shloka eva. So there are some pathantaras for this. I told you this entire chapter has pathantaras with Valmiki Ramayana, and I don't know what's the patha in Gita Press. I haven't checked. Shloka eva tvayam baddho natra karya vicharana. So don't have any other thoughts. Don't worry in this context. There is nothing for you to worry here. So he says that Machanda devate brahman pravrutteyam saraswati. So due to my wish, this has been uttered by you. So this curse that you have uttered is not because of any other thing, but my own wish. So what was his wish? So Tikakara is going to great length again. They say what was Brahma's wish here. So I mean, so they give various explanations, but his wish ultimately was that Valmiki's sensitivity should give rise to the story of Rama. So anyway, I'm not going into details of what other things that Brahmaji could have wished for. Anyway, Mat Chandat means out of my wish. Te Brahman here is Hey Rishi, Hey Brahmarshi, maybe. Brahman is Brahman is a venerated person. Te Brahman Pravrutteyam Saraswati. These words have been uttered by you out of my wish. And why did I wish like that? Ramasya Charitam Kritsnam Kurutvam Rishisattama Dharmatmano Bhagavato Loke Ramasya Dhimataha. So Ramasya Charitam Kritsnam Kuru. So he is telling now, hey Rishisattama, Ramasya Charitam Kritsnam. So the entire or the complete story of Rama, you kuru means you do now means you write. So you compose that story of Rama. So Kaveh Karma Kavyam we say. Kuru means so what does a Kavi do? He only does Kavya, or rather what the Kavi does becomes the Kavya. So Kuru here is something, I mean in that context perhaps he said Ramasya Charitam Kritsnam. Kritsnam means comprehensively, completely. Dharmatmanaha Bhagavataha Ramasya. So that Rama who is Dharmatma and who is Bhagavan. For Bhagavan means here you can say one who has all the great qualities. Such Ramasya, such Rama's story you do. Loke Ramasya Dhimata. Loke Charitam you can say, or Loke Kuru you can say, but a beautiful way saying Loke Ramasya. So this Loke Ramasya is nicely explained. Loke Ramasya Ramate iti Ramaha. So Ramate iti Ramaha, then Tena Lokadisthana Lokantaryaminascha ityarthaha. So Tilakakara is telling Ramate iti Ramaha, who he sports. Loke Ramasya means who he sports in this world. And what is it that sports in this world? It is nothing but Atma Chaitanyam only sports in this world. So the Satta and the Chidrupa, or the existence and consciousness in this world that we see. So it's Chinmaya Sat. So existence and consciousness in our perception appears to be divided as separated, but in essence that is Sat and that is only Chit. So they are not divided. We call it Chinmaya Sat. So that alone sports in this world as the various objects that we see. So Loke Ramasya can mean that, the Loka Adishthana, which is Chinmaya Sat, or you can say Loka Antaryami. So he who resides in everybody's heart. Such a Rama, Loke Ramasya, Bhagavataha Loke Ramasya means of that Bhagavan who is sporting in this world as the Adishthana of this world, or as the Antaryami, the indweller of everybody. Such Loke Ramasya Charitam Kritsnam Kuru. And Rishi Sattama. Rishi Sattama also, why he says, there is a reason for that I will say, but before that it strikes me just now. So Undedi So Undedi Ramudokade, there is a song like that by Tyagaraja, Undedi Ramudokade. So that Rama alone is in this entire world what you see. So Chanda Martanda Mandala Madhyamuna Chelanguchu Nundedi Ramudokade. So in this entire world, even in inside that blazing sun also there is Rama only. So that's what he's telling. And also there is another nice song. So Rama Nannu Provara, in that he says Chimalo Brahmalo Shivakeshavadulalo Prema Meera Merayuchunde Rama Nanu Brovara. So Rama is he who is in a small ant. Chima is ant, and Brahma, even in Brahma and Shiva and Keshava. He is the one who is in Shiva, Keshava, Brahma, and everybody, even in a small ant, it is Rama only. So Rama alone is there. May that Rama, so O Rama, protect me. Such Rama, you should protect me, he is telling. So something like that. Loke Ramasya means he who is sporting in this world as the Adhisthana or as the Antaryami. And then Rishi Sattama, Brahma is calling Valmiki as Rishi Sattama. This again has a nice meaning. There is a famous shloka in Devi Bhagavatam. So Nan Rishi Kriyate Kavyam, Narudro Rudramarchate, Nan Rishi Kurute Kavyam, Narudro Rudramarchate, Nadevamsho Dadatyannam, Na Vishnu Prithivipatihi. There is a shloka like that in Devi Bhagavatam which says that unless you have Vishnu's Amsha, you cannot be a king or a ruler. So ruler is special. For example, in India after independence we had 13 or 14 or 15, whatever, 14 prime ministers. So how many people have been born in India, but only 14 people could get the position of being the prime minister? Or how many people have been born, but only 14 people became president so far? So why? Because they have some whatever punya vishesha they have. So unless you have Vishnu's Amsha, you cannot be Prithivipati, you cannot be king or ruler of the land. And Nadevamsho Dadatyannam, unless you have some Amsha of Devatas, you cannot be an Annadata. And Narudro Rudramarchate, unless you have an Amsha of Rudra, so unless you are Rudra himself, you cannot worship Rudra. So one who is doing Nitya Shiva Puja is Shiva himself, Sakshat. And then Nan Rishih Kurute Kavyam, unless you are a Rishi, you cannot do a Kavyam. So that's the shloka there. So that's why he's calling him Rishi Sattama. You have the capability of making a Kavyam. Hey Rishi, you are a Rishi, therefore you can make a Kavyam. So Kavi is foresight. I mean, something that can happen in the society in the future, he visualizes now itself and writes about it. Or even more beautifully, Krantadarshi. Kranta is something that is far reaching. In that sense, I said foresight, something that is far reaching, or something that is all pervasive, somebody who can see all pervasive thing, only he can become a Kavi. So that all pervasive is nothing but Chaitanyam only. Somebody who has that understanding, or who is a Brahmagyani himself, he is a Kavi. So that's how we say. Here also you can take that Kavi is Krantadarshi, because he sees Rama and everybody, he can say the story. Anyway, Rishi Sattama here is Brahma is giving him a qualification. You have the qualification of making a Kavyam. Unless you are a Rishi, you cannot make a Kavyam. And then Brahma is telling you are a Rishi, and then I'm asking you to make a Kavyam. That means your Kavyam will come out very well. This is my Ashirvada. Dharmatmano Bhagavato Loke Ramasya Dhimataha. So Dhimataha is that Rama who's very intelligent, and who has what should I say, appropriately, spontaneously responding quality that Rama has. Dhiman is an intelligent person. So vrittam kathaya dhirasya yatha te naradachritam rahasyancha prakashancha yad vrittam tasya dhimatah ramasya sahasau mitre rakshasanan cha sarvashah vaidehyashcha vayad vrittam prakasham yadivarah तच्चाप्य विदितं सर्वं विदितं ते भविष्यति न तेवा गनृता काव्ये काचिदत्र भविष्यति. So he's saying again, I mean, he already said that Kuru Ramasya Charitam Kritsnam Kuru. So Ramasya Charitam Kuru, write Rama's story, and then once again he's telling. So Vrittam Kathaya Dhirasya. Dhirasya is Ramasya, but Dhirasya, so Tikakara is nicely saying Dhim Dhyam Irayati iti Dhiraha. So one who what should I say? Dhyam Irayati. Irayati is Prakashayati. Irayati, yeah, Prerayati. So Irayati is one who inspires the mind. So his story you do. So that shows that even Brahma is telling, Brahma is viewing Rama as Gayatri Mantra Pratipadya Brahman only. So Dhyam Ira Dhyo Yonav Prachodayat, we say in Gayatri Mantra. So the same thing he is also telling. The story of that person who illumines our thoughts, that person's story you write again, you say, and that story Ramasya Dhirasya, so of that Rama Rahasyancha Prakashancha. So that which has happened, that which is known and that which is not known also. Rahasyam is that which cannot be known, that which is unknown, and Prakasham that which is known for everybody. So Rahasyancha Prakashancha, here I mean you can give great philosophical meanings, things like that. I mean, so not everything about Bhagwan can be spoken, you know. So Tripad, so he is Atyat Dashangulam, things like that. So not everything about him can, about Brahman can be spoken. So even Tyagaraja says Vachama Gocharame Manasa Varnim Patarame Sri Rama Mahima. So Rama's Mahima cannot be completely extolled. So because it is away from, so Avang Manasa Gocharam. So it's something that our speech, our words, and our mind cannot completely comprehend. It has to drop after some point. So Rahasyamcha Prakashamcha is that which can be spoken of, that which can not be spoken of also. So by my blessing, you will be able to say all that. That's the idea. Rahasyamcha Prakashamcha can also mean that story of Rama which everybody knew, everybody was witness to, that is Prakasham, that which everybody knows. And Rahasyamcha is Rama's own thoughts, which nobody except Rama knew. Such things also you will come to know. Rahasyamcha Prakashamcha Yadvruttam Tasya Dhimatah Ramasya Saha Saumitre. So story of that Rama who is along with Saumitri. So Lakshmana is always with Rama, you know. So of that Rama story you tell Rakshasanancha Sarvashaha. So of all those Rakshasas also use the story you say. So this Rahasyancha Prakashancha goes along with Ramasya of Rakshasanam also. Of those Rakshasas also, the thoughts that were in their mind which they knew, they only knew, and the thoughts and the other story which everybody else knew also. So Sarvashaha, comprehensively. Vaidehyashchaiva Yadvrittam Prakasham Yadivaraha. So Prakasham Yadivaraha is again the same thing. Prakasham is that which is known to everybody, and Rahaha is that which is not known to everybody, by which we mean that the thoughts of that person, only that person knew those things. So Vaidehyashchaiva Yadvrittam, even the story of Vaidehi, Janaki Devi, which is Sita Devi, even her story you say. So Tachapya Viditam Sarvam Viditam Te Bhavishyati. So Tachapi means, so here it can mean two things. Those things that Rahaha or Rahasyam, things that other people cannot know. You are asking me to write something that other people could not have known, only they themselves could have known. So how can I write about it? So Brahma is telling that you will come to know. As a blessing I am telling it. You can, that can mean one thing. Tachapya viditam sarvam viditam te bhavishyati. All that was not known to others will be known to you. Of course, even you didn't know it, others didn't know it, but by my blessing you will know it. Tachapya viditam is some things here. I mean, another way is even those characters themselves did not know certain things. So even that you will come to know. So by my blessing you will come to know all these things. Nate vag anrita kavye kachidatra bhavishyati. In your entire kavyam there will be nothing that is not truth. So what you will speak, so in your kavya is the story as it happened. So there will not be any asambhavana dosha, things like that. I mean, there is nothing in the story that the reader can doubt. Could it have happened like that? Maybe it could not have happened. So such kind of doubts, there is no scope for having such doubts, because whatever you say in this kavya will be 100% true. Kuru Ramakatham Punyam Shlokabadham Manoramam. So that Ramakatha you do. Kuru means you write, you compose. Ramakatha you compose. So Punyam, that which is auspicious and gives and gives great punya even to the reader, such Ramakatha you compose. Shlokabadham Manoramam. Manoramam is something that is very captivating to the heart. So such Ramakatha you do. And how should you write it? Should I write it in prose or poetry? Brahmaji is telling Shlokabadham, write it in poetry. Excuse me. So Shlokabadham is you write in shloka form. He's telling, Brahma is telling. So Valmiki takes this, you can say advice, or you can say order of Brahma literally. In the entire Valmiki Ramayana, you won't find Gadya. As far as I remember, there is no Gadya. Everything is in shloka form only, entire Valmiki Ramayana, which is not the case in Bhagavata and Mahabharata also. There you will find some Gadya, some prose sections also. but in Valmiki Ramayana it's entirely poetry. Why? Because Brahmaji is telling shloka baddham kuru, so in shloka form you write it. So and then Brahmaji is telling prophetic words, so he's telling, is often quoted about Ramayana, these words he's telling now. यावत् स्थास्यन्ति गिरयः सरितश्च महीतले तावद् रामायण कथा लोकेषु प्रचलिष्यति. So as long as यावत् स्थास्यन्ति गिरयः, as long as the mountains stand tall, saritascha mahitale, as long as these waters, rivers are flowing on this earth, as long as these mountains stand tall, as long as the waters are flowing, tavad ramayana katha lokeshu pracharishyati, so long will this story of Rama be in vogue in this loka, in bhuloka. And in lokeshu he is using plural, so you can say in all the lokas, chaturdasha lokas, Rama's katha will last forever. And this is very prophetic, so we can see that Rama's story, so India as a civilization faced so many challenges, so many invasions. Despite all that, today we are able to hold on to Ramayana as a text, 24,000 verses text with so much commentary. Everything is still alive. That means it is Brahma's great Ashirvada, that is Ramakatha, and then it has taken so many forms. It's almost as though, like in Vedanta we say, if to establish your school you have to write a commentary on Brahma Sutras. Like that, if you have to prove your worth as a poet, then you have to describe Rama's Katha. It's as though like that, so popular Rama's Katha has become, and it has had such deep influence on Indian civilization. So such prophetic words Brahmaji has uttered. And then Yavad Ramasya cha katha tvatkrita pracharishyati tavad urdhvam adhaschatvam mallokeshu nivatsyasi. And then this Ramayana Katha will remain on earth as long as mountains stand and waters are flowing. So long will this Ramayana Katha remain on earth, and as long as this Ramayana Katha will remain on earth, so long will your fame also remain on this earth. Yavad Ramasya cha katha tvatkrita pracharishyati. So as long as that story of Rama written by you remains, so how long will that remain? As long as, so up till Pralaya it will remain. That is the meaning. So as long as mountains and rivers are there, so long will will this story remain. And as long as that story remains, what happens to you? Tavad urdhvam adhaschatvam mallokeshu nivatsyasi. So long will you remain in urdhva lokas, lokas above us, adho lokas, lokas below us, and even in my loka you will remain. So here, so what does it mean? You will remain in that loka, this loka, and Brahma loka also. So you will remain in Brahma loka, but your fame will remain everywhere, because the story is so captivating that people will talk about it everywhere. So there is another alternate way of explaining this. I will come to that, but before that, so there is a nice shloka in Sanskrit. So if you have studied Sanskrit in your intermediate, perhaps you will remember, which is that. So I said it and I forgot it myself. What is the shloka? So Jayanti te sukrutinaha rasasiddhah kavishwaraha nasti yesham yashah kaye jaramaranajam bhayam. So Jayanti te sukrutinaha. Sukrutinaha is those who have done great punyam. Who are they? Kavishwaraha, rasasiddhaha. So they who are experts in expressing that rasa. I don't know who's the author. So maybe not Kalidasa, I don't know. So that I don't know, I have to check. So those rasasiddhas, those who are experts at exhibiting or whatever, bringing out the rasayana kavya, those kavishwaras, may they, I mean, their jayanti is, so they are outstanding. Why are they outstanding? Because nasti esham yashah kaye jaramaranajam bhayam. So for their kaya, for their body, which is made of fame, yashah kaya, they are their fame, that is the meaning. Nasti yesham yashah kaya, to whose fame body, means to whose fame. So to whose fame there is no, or to whose fame body there is no jaramaranajam bhayam, bhayam or fear, which is born out of old age or disease or death. So that jara is old age, I think. So jaramaranajam bhayam is not there. That means for this physical body there is fear of old age and death. So because after death the body doesn't remain, but their body is made of fame, and therefore it remains even after their passing away. So even after their body shed, that fame body remains. So through that Valmiki is still living, through the Ramayana Katha that we are discussing even today. So I think Tilakakara, if I remember rightly, explains this Tavad Urdhvam Adhaschatvam. So this, so actually I mean, it's too harsh to say. I mean, you are giving such an interpretation to Valmiki's words, and then you are calling Valmiki names. So he's telling Athaha, Tvam Athaha. So you are somebody, because you have said a curse, you are supposed to go to Adholokas, but because you said it out of Rama's own prerana, your Antaryami's prerana, therefore, though you are worthy of going to Adholoka, you will remain in Urdhvalokas. And how Urdhvalokas you will go, as Urdhva as my own loka. So Brahma's loka is the ultimate loka. So in that loka you will remain. So as long as the story remains, your fame also will remain. And after pralaya, along with me, you will also get mukti. That's the idea. So ityuktva Bhagavan Brahma tatraivantaradhiyata tatasya sishyo Bhagavan tatasya shishyo Bhagavan munirvismayamayayo. So ityuktva, after saying these things, so Brahma himself disappears. So antaradhiyata, so he just vanishes, or rather he disappears. So Bhagavan Brahma disappears. And tataha, after that, sasishyo Bhagavan Munihi, that Bhagavan Muni, that respected Muni Valmiki, along with his disciples, they are all amazed. I mean, as in what happened just now. Narada came to us, he spoke to us, he went back to the Guruji, went to have bath, and then he said something. He was feeling bad, we came back, but he said something that's very beautiful, nice. It looks like a shloka, and then suddenly out of nowhere Brahmaji comes, and then he says, write Rama's katha, and he says your fame will remain for so long, and then he himself disappears. I mean, all these turn of events are very amazing for them. So tasya sishyas tatas sarve jagu shlokam imam punaha muhurmuhu priyamanaha prahuscha bhrushavismitaha. So tasya sishyaha, so those the Valmiki Sishya, after Brahma goes back, they are also uttering the verse again and again. Shlokam imam shlokam punaha sarve sishyaha jaguhu. So all those sishyas are again and again uttering those words. Muhurmuhu priyamanaha. So they are also very happy at that verse. So it's a nice verse. I mean, this is something nice. Shloka. Nobody has ever written a shloka. Everything that we had was apaurushaya, but our Guruji has written something which is a shloka, and so they are also very happy, and they are repeating it again and again. Prahuscha, and they are singing it, they are saying it. Brusha vismitaha. So they are also amazed. I mean, this is such a nice thing. Samaksharayish chaturbhiryah padair gito maharshina sonuvyahranad bhuyah shokashlokattvamagataha. Let me just finish this sarga. We have about 7 minutes, but I will take another 10 minutes perhaps and finish this sarga. So samaksharayish chaturbhihi. So so I said this. So akshara is, I mean, in an anushtup shloka, you are supposed to have 32 letters in total. So in each pada, you'll have 8 letters. So there are no more letters than what is required. So sometimes in kavyas we have in vritta, in chandas. Chandas, if I remember rightly, chandas is all Vedic meters are called chandas, and Laukika meters are called vritta. And of course there are other rules also for vritta and chandas. So sometimes you can have a Vishama Vrittam also. So your 3 lines, I mean, out of 4 padas, so 3 padas will be in 1 meter, and the 4th pada will be in some other meter. Such things are allowed. So Vishama Vrittams are allowed. Even in fact, when Shankaracharya writes Mangalacharana Shlokam for Mandukya Upanishad Bhashyam, so in the beginning he writes 2 very beautiful shlokas. In that, I remember the second shloka is Vishama Vritta. So 3 padas will be in 1 Vrittam, and the 4th pada will be in another Vrittam, and Anandagiri says this is not a dosha, it can be written like that. But in Valmiki's Kavya, that dosha is not there. I mean, that problem is not there. So all padas are filled with as many letters as they should be. Usually in Anushtup, that problem will not come. If you're writing bigger shlokas in bigger meters, that problem will come. Anyway, in Valmiki's Kavyam, that problem is not there. As many letters should be in a pada, which is 8 letters, so many letters are there in each of the 4 padas. And then Gitaha Maharshina. So that which has been uttered, or that which has been sung by that Maharshi, Sonu Vyaharan Vyaharanad Bhuyaha Shoka Shlokattvamagataha. So Saha, that verse, Anuvyaharanat. So Anuvyaharanat is something that has been said after. Anu means Paschat. So after it has been said. After what it has been said? After seeing that incident, of the hunter hunting the Krauncha birds. So after that it has been said. So and then when he was saying it, there was Bhuya Shokaha. Lot of Shoka was there. After seeing that events, out of lot of Shoka, Valmiki said this. and then despite that it has become a shloka. So shoka shlokatvam agatah. So so sonu vyaharanat bhuya shoka shlokatvam agatah. It can also mean that that thing, because of constant repetition singing, it gained lot of fame. So they were all in a forest, and then there were ashramas. I mean the neighboring ashramas and ashramas in the next part of the forest. Everywhere it spread that Valmiki said something which is so beautiful. I mean, it fits in meter. You can play it on veena. You can play it with talam, tabla, mridangam, and everything like that. So it reached that fame. You can say so. Tasya buddhir yan jata maharsher bhavitatmanaha kritsnam ramayanam kavyam idrishaih karavanyaham. So after that shloka also gains lot of fame. So Valmiki also decides, he gets this thought that so Brahmaji came and told me that I have to write Rama's Katha. So I will write Rama's Katha in this chandas, this meter, Anushtup meter, you can say. So Idrishaihi Karavanyaham Kavyam Idrishaihi. So through this meter I will do. So through this Anushtup meter I will write. So Brahmaji, I mean, you can say Brahmaji also said write in shloka, but then Brahmaji didn't specify which meter you should write. So in Vedas, generally we say there are 7 meters you can find. So Trishtup, Manushtup, Brihati, Pankti, and things like that. So that meters are there, but Valmiki chose to write in this meter because it became so famous already. Tasya buddhir yam jata, yam buddhihi means this thought has now come to that Muni, Maharshehe Bhavitatmanaha. So to that Maharshi, this thought came. Bhavitatmanaha is one who has decided or thought upon, reflected upon what has to be done. Such a person, such a Maharshi, this thought came. But then Tikakar also is telling Bhavitatmanaha is Bhavitaha Parishilitaha Atma Sarvaniyanta Raghunatho Yena Tasya. So Atma here he is saying is Rama. So one who has constantly meditated upon Rama. That is the meaning of Bhavitatmanaha. Bhavitaha Atma Yena. So Atma is Rama. So he who has meditated upon Rama, by him this thought he has got. So there is Dhvani that this thought he got out of Rama's own prerana. So he got this thought that this should be written in the Anushtup meter. So let me just finish these 2 shlokas now. उदारवृत्तार्थ पदैर् मनोरमैस्तदास्य रामस्य चकार कीर्तिमान् समाक्षरैः श्लोकशतैर्यशस्विनो यशस्करं काव्यमुदारदर्शनः. So उदारवृत्तार्थ पदैः. So उदारवृत्तार्थ पदैः means again it can mean that so udarasya vrittam also you can say. Udarasya yad vrittam charitam. So the story of he who was magnanimous. So that is Rama. That way you can say. Or you can say Udara Vrittartha is, you add appropriate as many number of words that are required. So many words, so many letters are there in that pada, something like that. So appropriate words. Udara Vrittartha Padaihi. That means words that are appropriate to the context. With such words, he has written this poem. Manoramaihi, with beautiful words, captivating words. Tada means thereafter, because thereafter means having decided once that he is going to write in this vrittam, he has written with beautiful captivating words. Ramasya Yashaskaram Kavyam. So Ramasya Ramasya Yashaskaram Kavyam. Ramasya Kavyam is Ramasya Charitam. He has written. Chakara is he has written. Kirtiman is Valmiki, who has gained great kirti, fame. Because by now his fame is already spreading, that he has uttered a shloka. Samaksharaih shlokashataihi yashasvinaha Ramasya. Yashasvinaha is Ramasya, Rama of great fame. Such a Rama story he did. Samaksharaih, again, like I said before, as many aksharas should be there in a pada. With so many aksharas he has written. That means there is no Vishama Vrittam and things like that. Shlokashataihi means with a 100 shlokas. So Shata here means Anantavachi. So Shata here literally doesn't mean 100, it means by many shlokas. By many shlokas is traditionally we say Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana is 24,000 shlokas. So through so many shlokas he has written that story of that Rama who has great fame. So Yashaskaram Kavyam Udara Darshanaha. So Udara Darshana is who he has, he like I said, he's a Kavi. He can see what is good for you and what the turn of events of the society in the future also is able to see, something like that. Like I said, so Krantadarshi, such a Kavi. And Yashaskaram Kavyam. So this Kavyam is something that will give fame to him. So Yashaskaram is not Ramasya Yashaskaram. You can say like that, that which spread the story of Rama or fame of Rama, such a kavyam he did. Or you can say this Yashaskaram is for him, so that he got fame. That kavya is something that gives him fame, such a kavyam he did. So like I told you, Valmiki always finishes off his sargas with usually one, but sometimes two shlokas in a different rhythm than Anushtup itself. So last shloka of the sarga is a very famous verse. The last shloka, Tadubhagata samasa sandhiyogam samamodhuropanataarthavakyabadham raghuvara charitam munipranitam dashashiraschavadham nishamayadhvam. So nishamaya is listen. So now this is something like so in kavyas you see something called nandi before the kavya proper. So you know the kavyas were written, it seems like that if you read the kavyas, that these were written for performance on a stage. So before the performance itself begins, there is a person who comes. So I don't know, there's a word for it in English also. So this person comes and speaks out. So it's called Nandi. In the beginning, he utters the Mangala Charana, and then he gives a small context to the Kavi and the Kavya and things like that. So after that, he says, okay, please listen, all of you listen to this Kavya, and then he goes away. So something like that. This is Nandyanta. So the Nandi is the beginning. So the Sutradhara comes. He comes and so narrator, there's a word for that in English. Anyway, he comes and he says, he builds up the context and then says, okay, all of you listen, and then he goes back. This shloka is something like that. So Nishamayadhvam is, you please listen. I hope that is what Nishamayadhvam means. If anybody is looking at Valmiki Ramayana.net, maybe tell me. Anyway, Tadupagata Samasa Sandhi Yogam. So that kavyam is how? That kavyam is that which has samasas are compound words, and sandhi is conjunction. So two words when they are coming together, it's sandhi. So yogam they are saying is between the prakriti and pratyaya. So there is a way of forming words. So you take the dhatu and then you add the pratyayas, and that's how the words are formed. For example, Rama, so use so Ramu Kridayam, you take the dhatu, and then of course anyway the Vyakarana Paddhati is there. So you add the pratyaya, so svauja, samauchas, you use those subantas, and then I mean that's how you create words. So that prakriti, the root, and the suffixes, all those things you add, and that's how a word is formed. So all that is there, all the grammatic rules are there. That's the meaning. Sama madhuropanatartha vakya baddham. So sama madhura is, so it is equally beautiful. Not that some portions are nice, some portions are very beautiful, some portions in the kavya are not so beautiful. It's not like that. Entire kavya is very beautiful. So sama madhura is, it is madhura in completely in the same way. Not that somewhere it's more madhura, somewhere it's less madhura. Not like that. So sama madhuropanatartha vakya baddham. So it's filled with sentences which are meaningful, pregnant with meaning, something like that. So that kavya, Raghuvara Charitam, so he is giving some names. So Raghuvara Charitam is story of Raghuvara Charitam, Muni Pranitam, written by this great Raghuvara is person who has come in that Raghu dynasty. Raghuvara Charitam, Muni Pranitam. So the person who has come in that Raghu dynasty is Rama. So Muni Pranitam is written by Muni, and Dashashirascha Vadham. So it has so it also has another name, which is the killing of Dashashira, the Dashagriva. That is another meaning. So I think in the next sarga this verse will come. So Kavyam Ramayanam Kritsnam Sitayash Charitam Mahat Paulastya Vadhamityetat. So there is a verse like that. So there are three names for Ramayana which Valmiki himself gives. So one is Ramayanam, another is Sitayash Charitam, so the story of Sita, and then Dashashira, so Paulastya Vadham, so killing of that Ravana. There are three stories, three names perhaps for this kavya. So such a story, Nishamayadhvam, all of you please listen. So that brings us to the end of this sarga. Just one thing I would like to add, the Tikakara is giving meaning for this Raghuvara Charitam. Raghu comes from the dhatu Raghi Gatyartha, Gatyartha Raghi. So this, so dhatu, I mean, I want to end this this way, because today is also Vidyaranya ji's Jayanti. Vidyaranya Muni has done he has done great contributions to Vedanta itself, but he has also done contributions to a lot of other shastras. One is he has written Dhatu Vritti. So for Panini's Dhatus, root verbs, he has written Vrittis. I mean small one word or maybe 1, 2, 3 words or phrase kind of explanation. So to those Dhatus, he gave those meanings. You know, the Dhatu Vritti he has written. So it's good to end with thinking of Vidyaranya Muni also that way. So Raghi Gatyarthaha means, so there is another rule, all sarve Gatyartha dhatavaha jnanarthaha. So all Gatyartha Gati means to go, so motion. So all dhatus which have motion as their meaning, movement as their meaning, such dhatu should be given the meaning of jnanam also. Jnanam is atma jnanam, something like so. Atma as jnanam, so that chinmaya sat, that kind of jnana, that kind of meaning also you can give. So this Raghuvara means the Antaryami, that's the meaning. So that Charitam of Rama's Charitam, who's the Antaryami, that Charitam, all of you listen. Um, yeah, that's pretty much what I want to say. इत्यार्षे श्रीमद् रामायणे वाल्मीकि आदिकाव्ये बालकाण्डे द्वितीयः सर्गः। ओम यत्र यत्र रघुनाथकीर्तनं तत्र तत्र कृतमस्तकाञ्जलिं बाष्पवारि परिपूर्णलोचनं मारुतिं नमत राक्षसान्तकम्। ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम तत्सत्। श्रीरामार्पणमस्तु। ओम।